Hi there. In this lecture we join Raymond Keene playing against Karl Robatsch. This is in 1971, 18th Claire Benedict tournament round 1. So bishop f4 from Keene. We join it here. So c5, and now d5 was played. So this was a very good idea in its own right. E takes. We have bishop f6. So the thing is, if bishop takes, that's pin pressure after rook fd1, say bishop e6, knight e5, that pressure on the pin is a lot, and also there's knight c6 here, so this is bound to win material. Queen a4 is bound to win material here. Knight takes f8, we're winning material. So that was a great initial pawn sacrifice, very interesting. And let's have a look at that again. If bishop c6, knight e5, and then we're taking the queen, this is not enough for black. So okay, we have bishop f6. So one consideration here is actually that there might be a bishop d4 later. So do we actually want to move this rook? It's actually x-raying f7 here. This requires a bit of a leap in imagination that the rook might actually be useful on f1 in regard to f7 later. It is, that could be a king's soft spot where only the king's protecting it if the rook leaves. So bear that in mind as a note. We have h4. There's another soft spot here. There's no knight on f6, so h7 is also interesting for resources like knight g5 for queen takes h7 mate. The rook does leave e8. If bishop takes d5 here, what would you play for 5 points? Yeah, that's an unprotected piece. Soft spot here. Yeah, this is a basis for simple combination knight g5, threatening mate, and opening up to the d5 bishop. So bishop takes, we can play bishop takes hitting the queen, and that d5 is still hanging. So what's black going to do? Lose the whole bishop on d5 if they move the queen, or do this? This is speculative. It's not working. It's just it's not even speculative. It's just clear advantage for white. So okay, black has to be careful and leaves that pawn again. Rook e8. So note we're still x-raying f7 and the rook has left f7. Keep a note of that. Knight g5, we are looking at f7 here as well as h7. So knight f8, we're still looking at f7, bear that in mind. Rook a to d1, and now bishop d4. The x-ray has crept a bit closer to reality here, hasn't it, without the bishop obstructing the f-file, bear that in mind. So here is actually a move which amplifies that x-ray pressure into real pressure. What do you think that is? For 5 points, white's play here. So there's a soft spot x-ray target, distant x-ray target, but it's really interesting how we can actually make this pressure real with bishop e3. Yeah, bishop e3. We have h6, the knight goes to e3, so the knight's evicted away from f7, and now black takes on e3, which, yeah, it looks as though black's doing okay there, damaging white's structure. But there is this dynamic now, real dynamic on the f-file with f7 in mind. And in fact, knight g6 is played here. Black should have considered queen d7. So say queen c3, queen e7, queen b3. This is just one idea. Queen a4, white's probing a bit. Black does have a small edge. There's other ways of playing it as well. a3 for b4, this situation. But yeah, bishop h3 might be one of our better moves here if f5 is played to try and get to that e3. So if rook if rook e5, knight c3, and black has a small edge, but nothing more. It should be nothing more. In this situation, just in case you're wondering about this, if rook takes e4 instead, what would you play for 5 points? Yeah, bishop takes f5 and then taking it on e4. If f takes, we take the queen. So there are lines where we can do other stuff anyway on queen d7. That does seem the safer move. Much safer move. It's looking after that soft spot for a start. So here, so what's the problem with knight g6? So for 100 points, what would you play here? White's taken some risks in a theoretical sense with the wrecked structure with the weak e3 pawn for this dynamic. Yeah, actually the dynamic is really good here. Rook takes f7. is played. We have king takes. If it's ignored, we can just say bishop a6, moving the bishop away. We can play knight takes c5. So now we're on queen takes g6 here. And let's say king takes instead. Then knight takes is actually rather good for white, this position. Check. We can even simplify. We're doing very well here. And we're forking the rooks, of course. Doing extremely well. So the king takes. We have rook f1 check. And now king e7. So the problem with king g8 is 5 points. What's the problem with king g8? Yeah, it's knight f6 check. We're opening up to g6. If g takes, we open up the black king. And this is not going to end well for black if they have to sack the queen there. So if we rewind that, so knight f6, queen takes f6, yeah, this is pointless as well for black. White's got more than enough here, mopping up the pawns, and yeah, it's winning for white. So the king comes out to play, king e7, d6 check, king d7, rook f7 check. We're starting to take away escape squares. It has elements of a king hunt across the board. Knight e7 is played. If king c8, what would you play here for 5 points? Yeah, actually knight takes c5 is pretty devastating. If b takes, queen takes c5 check, and rook takes b7 is checkmate. So knight e7 tried, and now this is really super cool. Queen a4 check. We have king c8. If bishop c6, in fact, what is there here for white? There's actually a mate in 1. 5 points. There's a mate in 1. Bishop h3 is checkmate. So king c8 played. We have d7 check as a real punchline move. Fantastic move, d7 check. Absolutely fantastic. So compelling queen takes d7. If king c7, yeah, we're going to just take that rook. And here, holding our rook, we're coming in also for queen e6 and things like knight d6 soon. So this is just going to be hopeless, knight d6. We're going to be absolutely crushing it there. So queen takes played. So what do you think the key point is here? For 10 points. White to play, what's the key point? Which ends the game at move 27. Yeah, bishop h3. Pinning the queen. If bishop c6, we can play what? Yeah, queen takes c6 check. Bishop takes d7 check. We end up winning material. Or, say in the case of king d8, bishop takes, we're forking the rooks. We're a bishop up there. We're double attacking the rooks with the bishop. So that's beautiful stuff. Bishop h3, beautiful finish to the game. If knight f5, we're just taking on d7, mating. So a beautiful finish to the game indeed. Wonderful game. Yeah, we're going to play bishop takes d7 check of b5. There's really nothing black can do here. It really is horrendous. There's nothing black. If the knight moves, queen takes d7. It's absolutely horrendous. So this is a very interesting game from the soft spot perspective, from way back. If we think about our rook x-raying f7 from way back and how it wasn't moved. In fact, the a rook was moved, but this is kind of left as an attacking rook. So f7 probing, and this bishop e3 accepting a compromising pawn structure, potentially. First the knight was kicked though, and accepting this compromise for these tactical ideas, these rich tactical ideas like rook takes f7. Absolutely wonderful stuff how this works, with the other rook coming to f1. Absolutely wonderful, beautiful, creative work on the chessboard. Hope you enjoyed it as much as me. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed this free sample lecture. It's from one of my courses. You can check out my courses at kingscrusher.tv. So you'll get these coupon codes which will give you great discounts. I have over 50 courses now, been working on them for the last few years. All sorts of chess topics, chess skill topics like tactics, calculation, visualization. And you can see my previous bestsellers highlighted. So I do hope you check out this Kingscrusher TV page. It does help support the channel. and encouraging me to share with you more free samples. So comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. And if you really, if you want to know the specific course the lecture was about, please do leave a comment in the video, and that will prompt me for a pinned comment, etc., just to clarify for this particular video which course it was from. Okay, thanks very much.